for you
It
as
is.
you are trying to let people know that, yeah, great country, but this happened.
That's right.
Got to acknowledge
We
it.
have to acknowledge it, right? And our past does not necessarily necessitate our future.
Right.
But of course, as the adage goes, without learning our past, we are destined to repeat it.
So how young do you think people should be? I remember Mrs. Dorothy Barr, my fifth grade teacher at Westwood Elementary School in Junction City, Kansas. we know about these teachers in our lives.
That's right. That's
in
right.
our classroom, we read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass.
That's it.
That was not a pretty book.
That was not a pretty
As a
book.
fifth grader,
There you go.
So the question is, a lot of parents don't want their kids to get this in elementary school. How young do you think kids or how this kind of subject should be taught?
Right. So I believe much like in your personal history, it is okay for us to introduce aspects or less flattering components of our American past. Our children are getting ready to inherit this experiment. And if they are not fully equipped to be able to deal with its nuances and its complexities and many of its contradictions and problems, then we are destined again to perpetuate it. So I would argue we do need to be celebrating our literature and culture at very young ages. We can start in elementary school, in middle school, by having conversations about the way that we've organized this democracy that we engage in. And by high schools, it's okay for us to start asking serious questions about our Supreme Court decisions and the practices that stem from them, so that when we get to college, right, this space of higher learning, that now we are crafting the leaders of tomorrow. And if our leaders are not equipped or not engaged or not informed, then how could we possibly be the greatest country in the world if we don't have the greatest education in the world?
And so now we have these pockets, these silos of people who are siloed off about what they believe, and they really are believing things that are factually incorrect.
That's correct.
And so at this point, when they embrace it and they're fiery about it and they're just adamant about not doing it, how do you break through that? Or do you just continue to just preach the truth and that's the way it's going to be?
Well, of course, so I don't think that's an either or. I think it's going to have to be a both and. So we have to recognize that much of the work that we do as social justice warriors, as champions for equity and equality in our society, is going to come up against the fundamental organizational tool of America. America was never intended to be equal. That's the lie we tell ourselves, right? It was never intended to be equal. While our founding fathers were writing the documents, they made sure the founding mothers were nowhere near it. While our founding fathers were writing the document, they made sure that the enslaved people who built the building would not be enshrined in that document. While they were crafting this a beautiful democracy, they made sure that the people whose land they were standing on would never be a part of it and be excluded. They made sure that we would be a nation that was for a particular people and would serve a particular end. That's the facts. That's not even disputable. So when we come to realize that America has always been an aspiration more than it's been a country, and when we can move, as our brother Barack would say, as we move toward perfecting this union, right? That's what we've been doing. You only need the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment because you left people out. People didn't have equal protection under the law until we enshrined it. Folks did not have franchisement until we enshrined it. We are fundamentally an unequal society, but it is our dedication to being the America of our dream that makes us amazing.
Okay, so now I understand what we're going to have to do to invite you back.
Yes, sir, please
We're going to do a whole program. Because it deserves a whole program, I think. If you don't mind giving us a master class.
Yeah, of course, I would love to. It would be my honor.
Good deal. Dr. Vida Robertson, thank you so much for your time. This is Houston Newsmakers Extra. For this Juneteenth weekend, it would probably be a good idea if you share this with everyone you know.
Welcome back to Houston Life. Summer gives many folks extra time to relax and unwind with the company of a great book, but finding the perfect read can be a challenge because there are so many options out there.
So many options, you got it. That's why we are joined by Houston's Cindy Burnett, a local book influencer and host of the Thoughts from a Page podcast, who is sharing her top 5 book picks for the summer. Cindy, welcome to the show. I love that you're here because not only do kids need to keep up with summer reading, but it's also great for adults as well, right?
It really is. And so many books are coming out now that it's really hard to know what to read, what to pass up on. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me back.
We always love having you. And don't you find from a lot of your listeners of the podcast that when we get older, it seems like our responsibilities only increase. And many of us find ourselves reading for pleasure less often.
Yeah, I think that's right. And making the time for it is hard. You almost have to just block out the time.
All right, so I want to jump right into this list because this is such a great list today. We're going to start with the perfect book for the thrill seeker. It's called Drowning by T.J. Newman.
That's exactly right. And this is for the thrill seeker, and you do not want to read it while you're on an airplane.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Thanks for the heads up.
You leave the book leaves Honolulu. 6 minutes later, they crash in the ocean.
Oh.
So not a one for the plane.
Not a comedy.
But really, really good. And so 12 people end up remaining on the plane. Everybody else is out in the water, but 12 people, and as the plane slowly sinks, all of these random, different, super stressful things happen to them. And so it's just one thing after another, but she does a great job of building the tension, developing the characters. It'll be my favorite thriller of the year.
One you have to see through to the end,
amazing,
right?
you do. And she was a flight attendant, and she wrote her first book on her phone and on paper napkins while she was working, and did great with it falling. And this is, there she is.
There she is, right there.
Yeah, and then this is her second. They're totally unrelated, but they both take place on airplanes.
Wait, Cindy, personal question. Could you read a book like this before bed and like sleep like a baby?
I could totally read it before bed, but I could not read it on an airplane.
Yeah.
Okay. There you
I don't
go.
think you should, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right, the next one is for people who love happily ever afters, right? So this is Charm City Rocks by Matthew Norman.
And it's set in Baltimore. It's almost a love story to Baltimore, in addition to be a love story between two characters. He does a great job of bringing the city to life, makes you want to visit all these things, the culture, characteristics, all of that. And it involves two people, a music teacher and a woman who was in a band. And the music teacher's son feels like he's lonely. He creates this hilariously comic way that brings the two of them together, and it goes from there. So it's just a really sweet story, and there's so much great music. If you're a big music fan, 80s, 90s things, then you'll love this one. I actually texted him because one of my all-time favorite songs was in that book. And I was like, I'm so happy it was in there. So
I think that's so cool. You got to text the author. That's really cool.
I love that we're seeing the authors on screen as well. Very cool.
All right, this one, you're speaking my language, perfect for sitting at the beach. This is going to be called Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan.
And she is one of my new favorite authors. She writes these just wonderful books that are great for sitting by the pool, sitting at the beach. This one takes place at the beach in Long Island. She was just here at Blue Willow. I interviewed her Tuesday night. So Blue Willow has signed copies if you want to get them. They're out on Memorial. So it's a great bookstore, local. And two people meet when they're in high school. They fall in love. They break up. 10 years later, they're back. And the girl is engaged to somebody new. And they run into each other back on Long Island, and sparks fly. So,
All right. Hey, that's
yeah,
a good
it's
tease.
really, really well done.
Okay, so if you want to crank the AC, be mindful of our outages that are potential when we have hot summers. But you can still curl up with a great book. And this next one is called Lucky Girl by Irene Muchemi and Jeritu.
That's right. And this will go in a totally different direction. The others were lighter. This is a little heavier, about a woman who lives in Kenya. She has a really strict upbringing. She is kind of tired of feeling like she is doing everything her family says. She secretly applies to college in New York City, and goes there and sees that the world is way larger than she thought. So she learns all about what it's like to be an immigrant and to live in New York City. It's so different than her home in Kenya. What it's like to meet African Americans in the U.S. versus Africans in Kenya. Really great story. You really kind of immersed in a new culture for me. I loved it.
Very nice.
Wonderful. And to round it out, perfect for Father's Day ahead of this weekend. And those who like political intrigue, Inside Threat by Matthew Quirk. I can only imagine what this one's going to be about.
It is so good. Now, have you guys seen The Night Agent on Netflix?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so that's his story.
Okay,
his earlier
okay.
one. It has ended
It's
up
good.
being one of their top 5 of all time shows. It just blew up. And so this is his latest book, Inside Threat. It is about a president who there is a threat. They don't know who the threat is coming from. They're trying to figure that all out. They go to a place called Ravens Rock. It's a bunker outside of D.C., an actual bunker that is built for nuclear destruction or war to hide the president. They go there, they get locked in. people start dying.
Oh, wow.
And so it's another page turner like drowning. You just are like madly trying to figure out who's bad, who's good, who's dying next, who's going to be okay.
And before you know it, the book is done, right?
Exactly.
You're in the whole thing.
So really, and I've actually interviewed him for the podcast, and it'll air next week.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful.
And the podcast is so great. You have a summer reading guide on your website, by the way, in addition to the podcast. These are 5 great options, but people can keep up with you for more online.
That'd be great. I picked 40 books that have been out in the last year that I read myself, vetted, loved. 2 of these are on there, but 3 of these are new. So yeah, I hope everybody will check it out.
All right,
It's a great
Thoughts
list.
from a Page podcast, so check it out. We cannot recommend it enough. Cindy, it's great to see you.
Well, it's great to see y'all. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And in the meantime, if you would like to see this book selection again, remember you can watch our segments online and on our KPRC2 Plus app.
And you can download the free app on your smart TV or streaming device and on your mobile phone. Just search KPRC2 Plus wherever you get your apps.
Hey, it's the summer, and if your teenager's looking for a job, maybe you want to check out the YMCA. Joining me this morning, Kashayla Pope, Executive Director of Youth Leadership for the Greater Houston YMCA. Kashayla, how you doing?
I'm good. Great this morning. Thank you for having me.
I know it's early, and we appreciate you coming in so early to talk about this. So here we are, we're heading into summer. What are some of the opportunities that are available for our teenagers at the Y?
So lots of opportunities actually for young people, and by young people, that 16 to 19-year-old range. Okay. So lifeguard, swim instructor, day camp counselors, resident camp counselors. If you don't really like to work with children, member services. So lots of opportunities for young people to join our team this summer.
It sounds like some of those are in some ways leadership positions, whether you're a counselor or something like that.
Absolutely, 100%. And that's part of the benefit of working with the Y, right? It's not just an employment, just a job. You gain those skills, really skills that are for life. So customer service, when you're a lifeguard, that is not just pertinent at the YMCA, right? You can potentially save a life anywhere as a lifeguard. So.
Good point. What kind of experience do kids need? I mean, is it mandatory that they had to have had a prior job, or what do you think?
So no prior experience. What's really good with the lifeguarding piece is that they get all of the training and skills that they need before they even step into the pool as a lifeguard. So all of their first aid, CPR, even with our day camp counselors, there's 40 hours of training that they have to go through before they even step into a camp to work with our young people.
So do you go through this every summer where you got some kids, they come in, they start working, and then of course the fall, it's back to school, and then you have to do this again?
Yes, we do. Every summer is when we see the spike in employment.
Yeah.
But one of the good things about the Y also is that even while they're away at school, there's opportunities for them to come back. They may work weekends or they may work during the holidays. So it's an opportunity to kind of keep that employment consistent around what their schedules are with school.
Now, I imagine, you guys have a lot of locations, right? So for any family out there that's thinking about it, there's probably a Y nearby for have their teen go look for an opportunity to work.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of locations around Greater Houston. To find that location, you would just visit our website, ymcahouston.org. You can put in your zip code. It'll pop up the center that's closest to you.
And do most of the centers have kind of the same activities? In other words, I guess they all have a pool, right? What are some of the similarities and differences between the different Ys?
Yes, so pools, all the similarities, pools, everyone has a welcome center. Centers have a day camp, either on site at their Y, or some day camps run at other locations, but you would still be connected to that specific YMCA.
So all of those opportunities are still there
Exist.
for the kids.
Yes.
And where can they get more information? Is there a website or someone to contact?
Yes, so they can visit our website, ymcahouston.org/careers. And again, they can search by their YMCA location or by the specific job that they're looking for.
Cool. Very cool. Well, I hope that helps some families. Kashayla Pope, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you
Thank
coming
you
in.
for having
She
me.
came all the way in from Katy to visit with us, so we do appreciate it. Have a great summer.
Thanks.
Good
You
luck with
too.
the hiring.
An elementary school student in Fort Bend ISD setting quite the example for her classmates. Samantha Porter wanted to find a way to fundraise for animal rescue groups after seeing the stray animal crisis across the Houston area. We spoke with Sam, her mom, and the teacher who helped inspire her.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I started Fido's Friends.
Meet 8-year-old Sam Porter, whose love for animals led her to do something big.
One day, I'm like, hey, Mom, I want to do this. And then I'm like, it could be fun.
Fun meant finding a way to raise money for local animal rescues.
Going into Jenny's.
Her inspiration, Jenny's Rescue Ranch, a 501c3 based in Alvin that's dedicated to rescuing, rehabilitating, and finding forever homes for the many animals left on the street, oftentimes in horrible condition.
My goal was to raise $1,000.
If you're wondering how she learned about the ranch, her teacher, Anita Benedettini Joseph, is a volunteer with the nonprofit. And when she's not in the classroom, she's helping to find fosters, raise awareness, and often talks to her kids at Sienna Crossing Elementary about being a voice for the voiceless.
We talk a lot about rescuing and giving back to the community. And the whole year really in second grade is just about communities and citizenship, and I always tell them with great power, like I pulled the Spider-Man, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and that the smallest voices carry the most power.
Armed with that vote of confidence, Sam got to work. Her parents helped her create the Facebook group Fido's Friends.
Once she came up with the shirt design, which is, I don't know if y'all can see it, but basically it's this on your shirt.
Okay.
Now these are one of the stickers.
Sam helped design the logo and put it on 25 t-shirts and stickers that she sold in about a week.
We have t-shirts for $25 and stickers for $3. Or if you just